With 54.5% of votes, Rodrigo Paz has been elected the new president of Bolivia, defeating Jorge Tuto Quiroga in the second round of the general elections. In Cuba, the Granma-Rebelde festival concluded this Sunday in Havana, where delegations from over 30 countries discussed the role of leftist journalism in the world today. The Israeli occupation forces bombed various areas of the Gaza Strip in violation of the ceasefire agreement. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Sophie Fernandez from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Venezuela, the candidate of the Christian Democratic Party, Rodrigo Paz, was elected president according to official data from the preliminary results system Quick Count. The Supreme Electoral Court of Bolivia announced the preliminary official result of the quick count of votes that declared Rodrigo Paz as the winner of the second presidential round, with 54.6% of the ballot votes, while the far-right candidate Jorge Tuto Quiroga of the Free Alliance Party obtained 45.3% of the votes. The electoral body assured that this preliminary official result is after having preceded 97% of the votes. In that sense, the elected president will take office on November 8th. In his first remarks as Bolivia's president-elect, Rodrigo Paz reaffirmed that his government will have a new geopolitical alignment, after expressing his gratitude to regional right-wing governments, such as those of Ecuador, Panama, and Paraguay, for recognizing his electoral victory.
I would like to thank the President of Panama, who has already called us. I would like to thank the President of Paraguay. I would like to thank the President of Uruguay, the President of Ecuador, and the President of Peru. And now, after being with you, we will have another number of presidents. Bolivia is recovering its international position step by step. We lost geopolitically and geoeconomically. It cannot be that on August 6, in the 200 years of our country's existence, not a single president of our neighboring countries had visited us. Among brothers, that is like not going to visit your brother or sister on their birthday. This cannot happen again in Bolivia. That is why the new dimension of Bolivia that we are building together will be with our hands outstretched to the inside of the country to work with all men and women.
Likewise, Rodrigo Paz reaffirmed that he has been in talks with the United States government to be part of the solutions he seeks to promote during his term in office, which begins on November 8th.
Gentlemen, we must open Bolivia to the world and resume our role, and for that reason I would also like to thank Deputy Secretary of State Landorf, who on behalf of President Trump's government has called us to do what we told the country we would do. We are in talks for all support, assistance or cooperation to be able to forge a close relationship with one of the most important governments in the world, so that they be part of the solution starting on November 8th, so that Bolivia does not lack its hydrocarbons, and they fully support us, together with other nations that I have mentioned, so that all the efforts we have made are for the Bolivian people and to begin government with determination in the transformation that we have to carry out.
Now that he has been elected president of Bolivia, let's learn a little more about Rodrigo Paz, son of former President Jaime Paz Morora, whose term was consolidated with the support of dictator Hugo Banzer, began his political career in 2002. His subsequent municipal administration was marked by allegations of corruption and controversial public works. He was a clear promoter of the destabilization that led to the coup against Evo Morales and supported the regime of Jeanine Áñez, responsible for the Sencata and Sacaba massacres. His government proposal, the 50-50 agenda, is criticized for being a mechanism to suffocate the central government financially and weaken its ability to implement unitary social policies. In essence, his project seeks to revive the neoliberal policies that deepen inequality and surrender national sovereignty to foreign capital in the past. For his part, during a statement, the candidate for the Free Alliance Party, Jorge Tuto Quiroga, congratulated Rodrigo Paz, elected president for the 2025-2030 term. However, during this statement, his own party urged him not to recognize the results presented by the preliminary results system, CIREPRE.
We respect the work of the CIREPRE in the first round and we will respect it in the second round. I have called Rodrigo Paz Pereira. I wish him my congratulations. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. No, please, 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 please. I understand the pain that overwhelms us. Believe me, if there were systemic evidence, we would put it on the table. There is a provisional count. We are going to wait for the official count. We are going to have the records. We are going to compare them. We are going to do what work because the work does not end here for us. We have complaints and others that are being made. There are allegations of issues that are happening, but this is a preliminary result. We are conveying our congratulations and we are going to do the verification work until Thursday with the records in hand.
In other news in Mexico, the French writer Philippe Hristic presented his book Venezuela, The Democracy That Is Chronicle of the 2024 presidential election, during the 25th edition of the International Book Fair. In his book, the author presents his experience as an international observer in the presidential elections held in Venezuela last year, dismantling the right-wing media's rhetoric that surrounds the Venezuelan electoral model. Hristic considered that Venezuela is the alternative to neoliberalism and, through an extensive analysis, he details the democracy model that the Venezuelan people have granted themselves. At the end of the presentation, the public received printed copies of the text as a gift from the To Read in Freedom Brigade, who also invited the public to download the free version of the book from its website. In Mexico, the Juan José Landeta Symphony Orchestra for the National System of Youth and Children's Orchestras and Choirs of Venezuela gave a concert as part of the closing activities of the 25th edition of the International Book Fair in El Zócalo. The audience described the performances as world-class show, as well as expressing their gratitude to the Venezuelan government for strengthening cultural ties with the country. The South American group performed popular music pieces by Venezuelan and Mexican composers. Prior to the performance, the ensemble directed by Cristian Vázquez presented a concert in collaboration with members of the Eduardo Mata University Youth Orchestra and the choir of the Faculty of Music of the National Autonomous University of Mexico. And now we have a short break coming up. But first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In Cuba, the Granma-Rebelde festival concluded this Sunday in Havana, after 3 days of debates over the role of leftist journalism today, with delegations from over 30 countries. teleSUR was there, and our colleague Belén de los Santos brings us more details.
The founding of the Cuban newspapers Granma and Rebelde was the reason for this international gathering in Havana. The festival Granma-Rebelde brought together Cuban and international media for 3 days to exchange experiences and rethink the challenges and needs of leftist journalism in the 21st century.
Here we gathered the Cuban media. We have television, radio, and newspapers, not only those here from the capital, but also from the province who have come to this festival. Alongside us, there are also important international media from Asia, Europe, and Latin America. This is also an opportunity to connect and exchange with our audience, with our people.
In the year leading up to the 100th anniversary of his birth, this first edition of the festival was dedicated to Fidel. His commitment to building rigorous journalism close to the workers continues to inspire communicators of the new generations.
Fidel was a man who always took the truth as his primary weapon, the press as his rifle, a powerful force for the battles he fought. I always think back to March of 1952, when Batista staged the coup. What did that young Fidel, with so many revolutionary ideas, with such a strong desire to see a different Cuba do? He took to the press as a weapon, and what was his first shot? That powerful article titled "Revolution, Not a Swipe."
The days have been marked by cooperation and exchange. Representatives from media outlets from Venezuela, Brazil, Vietnam, and the United States gathered in the Cuban capital, aware that the challenging international context marked by a coordinated advance of the right worldwide demands greater solidarity among the international working class.
Well, the people of the United States don't want foreign wars. The people of the United States are having a hard time putting food on the table, are having a hard time finding quality schools for their children to go to, don't have medical care. You know, people in the US are suffering because they can't go to the doctor when they're extremely ill. And yet we see our government spending so much money to enact wars that the people of the US don't even want to participate in and in fact are against.
We have to exchange experiences and share to discover how to do communication and journalism in the 21st century, especially with so many challenges and so many threats to the experiences that we, independent and leftist organizations and media, defend so strongly.
3 days filled with debate, exchange, and conversation with one common goal: to strengthen existing alliances to narrate the present from the wisdom of our territories. Belén de los Santos, Denise Arabí, para teleSUR, desde La Habana, Cuba.
Colombia condemns Donald Trump's accusation against President Gustavo Petro and denounces Washington's double standards in the fight against drug trafficking. The Minister of Defense assured that the statements of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, are a disrespect against national sovereignty. In addition, he reaffirmed that Colombian authorities are carrying out an intensive deployment to neutralize drug production and armed crime in the country. Meanwhile, the President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, responded to the testimonies of the United States and pointed out that the boat that was attacked in the Caribbean had no connections with armed groups. Via social media, the Colombian president declared, "The boat belonging to the fishermen from Santa Marta did not belong to the ELN. It belonged to a humble family who loved the sea and fished for their food. What do you say to that family? Explain to me why you helped kill a humble fisherman from Santa Marta, the land where Bolívar died, which they say is the heart of the world. What do you say to the family of fisherman Alejandro Carranza? He was a humble human being." In this sense, Colombia's Defense Minister Pedro Arnulfo Sánchez described U.S. President Donald Trump's remarks about Colombian President Gustavo Petro as disrespectful.
Any statement made against the President of the Republic using such terms is an affront to Colombia. He is the President of all Colombians, democratically elected, and as Minister of Defense, I can fully attest to his commitment to neutralizing drug trafficking. If there is one country that has used all its resources and sacrificed men and women in this fight and has stepped up this offensive in recent years, it is Colombia. I reaffirm that Colombia is a nation with absolute conviction and commitment to eradicating drug trafficking. And the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, who is the President of the Republic and the President of all Colombians.
For his part, Colombia's Attorney General Gregorio Eljac demanded respect for the Colombian President Gustavo Petro in response to Donald Trump's statements.
The President of the Republic represents the unity of Colombians and deserves all our respect, support, and solidarity. There should be some factual evidence, which I do not believe exists, to make such a radical statement against the President of a democratic state.
In other news, we go to Ecuador, where the National Police repressed protesters in the community of San Miguel de Común on the 28th day of the national strike against the elimination of the diesel subsidy. The protest was organized by the Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities of Ecuador, CONAIE, not only against the elimination of the diesel subsidy, but to demand a reduction in the value-added tax from 15 to 12%, as well as a state attention to education and health. Meanwhile, government forces repressed the protest with tear gas and stones. To date, there have been 3 fatalities in Ecuador in the context of the national strike, 2 of whom were shot during clashes with the military and 1 died from inhaling tear gas. In other news, in the United States, mercenary Jordan Grudeau, mastermind of the failed Operation Gideon, confirmed that the so-called Los Soles cartel was created by the CIA in the 1990s. Grudeau dismantled the imperial narrative that accuses Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro of heading a drug trafficking organization, pointing out that it was the U.S. government that founded it before the arrival of the Bolivarian Revolution. Grudeau referred to the name of Los Soles cartel as a joke among Americans, explaining it came from the patch of the uniform and was imposed by agencies such as the DEA. The mercenary pointed out that regardless of who occupies the White House, the ultimate goal is to protect the flows of resources derived from these illicit operations and maintain their hegemony in the region. We have a second short break coming up. Before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, but we'll be right back with more from the South. Don't go away. Welcome back. The Israeli occupation army bombed various areas of the Gaza Strip in violation of the ceasefire agreement. According to health sources, the attacks resulted in the deaths of at least 5 Palestinians and several injuries, mainly in the towns of Deir al-Balah and al-Sawaida. According to official reports from the Palestinian Ministry of Health, the injured include women and children, who were transferred to hospitals that are overwhelmed due to the blockade imposed by the Israeli government since October 7, 2023. In this scenario, the Palestinian Ministry of Social Development reported that at least 57,000 children became orphans since the beginning of the Israeli regime's aggression against the people of Gaza. Israel's genocidal attacks include the use of all types of firearms, which resulted in the destruction of infrastructure and society in the Palestinian enclave. The ministry warned that children are the group most affected by the occupation's attacks, as they have lost their parents and have been deprived of education and family stability. Meanwhile, environmental resource organizations report that the Gaza Strip is facing an unprecedented environmental crisis, threatening to unleash a long-term humanitarian catastrophe. Intense Israeli bombing has destroyed ecosystems, rendering most agriculture and land unusable, and devastating water systems in the region. Currently, the situation, described by experts as freefall, can be summed up in three trickle factors: contaminated water, destroyed farmland, and a broken electrical grid, which together are bringing the Palestinian enclave to the brink of collapse. In El Salvador, authorities declared an orange alert in the country due to the heavy rains recorded in the last few hours. Authorities warned of the high probability of flooding and rising over levels. Given the adverse weather conditions, they warned of the high risk of rockfalls, which could block roads and highways and affect communities near slopes and mountainous areas of the country. For the report, civil protection teams specified that the highest accumulated rainfall was 83.4 millimeters, recorded at the Zaragoza station in the department of La Libertad. They also stated that the low-pressure system moving over the Barlovento Islands in the Eastern Caribbean has the potential of becoming a disturbance in the coming days. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on the website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We're on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Sofía Fernandez. Thank you for watching.